Hello all, this is T. Kripa Devi, Assistant Professor, Department of CSE, Dr. MGR Educational and Research Institute. Today, I shall brief on the topic Storage Security Framework in the subject Information Storage Management. The subtopics to be covered are the definition of storage security, discussion on the elements to build storage security framework, risk trade components. Now, what is storage security? It is an application of security principles and practices to storage and networking technologies in terms of data storage and networking. The secured access to information is the main focus of storage security, which begins with building a framework. So now let us see what is storage security framework. It gives a systematic way of defining security requirements. It incorporates anticipated security attacks and security control measures, which is used to protect from the above mentioned attacks. It must ensure certain security measures like confidentiality, integrity, availability, and accountability. Now, the confidentiality is used to provide required secrecy of information, which ensures only authorized users have access to data. Integrity confirms that the info is unaltered. Availability establishes that only authorized users have reliable and timely access to data. Finally, accountability checks for all events and operations that takes place, helps to uniquely identify the actor that performed an action. Let us understand the security elements. The main components of risk trade are threats, asserts, and vulnerabilities. Below is a flowchart which clearly explains the causes of risk. If you see, you have owner who has a lot of value for his asset. On the other side, you have a threat agent who give rise to threat that is exploited in the form of vulnerabilities leading to risk which affects the asset. The owner also takes certain steps to impose countermeasures to reduce the risk affecting the asset. So the main aim of threat agent is to abuse or damage the asset which is valued by the owner. So let us know in detail about the individual components of risk trade. First is assets. Asset is basically in IT infrastructure, information is an asset. Other assets are hardware, software, and network infrastructure resource. So protecting asset is a primary concern. Some security mechanisms are involved, like easy provision to access information assets only for the authorized users, making it very difficult for potential attackers to access and compromise a system. Also, it should cost more for an attacker to compromise a system in terms of money and time. Next element is threat. So threats are caused by attacks in IT infrastructure. An attack can be passive attack or active attack. So attempts to gain an unauthorized access to the system is called as passive attack, and it affects the confidentiality of information. Whereas active attacks like data modification, denial of service, and repudiation affects the integrity and the availability of the data in the system. So below is a summarization of attacks and its effects on various security measures. So your third element is vulnerabilities. It can occur anywhere in the system. An attacker can bypass controls implemented at a single point in the system. It's one example of vulnerability which can be overcome by giving defense in every depth by implementing security control at each access point of every access path. So the failure which happen anywhere in the system can raise security risk. So loss of authentication may threaten confidentiality. Likewise, loss of device leads to unavailability of data in the system. So we need to understand vulnerabilities. Understanding vulnerabilities include certain terminologies. We need to understand what is attack surface, attack vector, and work factor. Now, what is attack surface? Any attacker can use certain access point or interfaces to launch an attack, which is called as attack surface. A path or means by which an attacker can gain access to a system is referred as attack vector. The amount of time or effort required to exploit an attack vector is called as work factor. So, a solution or a sample solution to protect critical assets includes minimizing the attack surface, which means minimizing the number of access points or interface used to launch an attack, maximizing the work factor, which will help in increasing the time to exploit an attack vector, then managing the vulnerabilities. So you can manage the vulnerabilities in two ways, like you can detect and remove the vulnerability, or you can install some countermeasure so that you can lessen the impact. Now, what do you mean by countermeasure? Countermeasure is in turn like safeguard or controls which is used to lessen the impact of vulnerability. So this countermeasures can be employed in the form of controls. Controls can be technical or non-technical controls. Technical controls are implemented in computer hardware or software or firmware, whereas non-technical controls are like policies and standards which is used for administration and physical. Also you have physical controls like guards, gates, etc. So the various functions of the controls are used to either prevent the attack or reduce the effect of an attacker, or used for detecting, like discovering attack and triggering preventive or corrective control measures. Well, this is a summary of the topics covered. With this, security storage framework is done. Thanks for listening. Bye. Have a good day.